Dawn of War's originally release hit at just the perfect time for me. In high school, enjoying the big games at the time, Diablo 2 was played a lot, StarCraft Brood Wars was still hot, Counter-Strike was a mainstay, Homeworld 2 had just blown us away a couple of years before, and the mods for it were just taking off. Then, Dawn of War dropped in 2004. The golden age of relic RTSs was here. Company of Heroes wouldn't hit for another 2 years, but before that was the original Dawn of War, and the reason I got into the 40K universe. Now, 20 some odd years later, we're getting the Definitive Edition for Dawn of War, a re-release of the original for modern systems. So let's talk about why you should be excited as I am for the return of a classic RTS. Let's get the big one out of the way first, and it's hands down worth it alone. This is the thing that I am ready for, 64-bit. The game will run out of the box as a 64-bit title, meaning on a modern gaming rig, it can actually take advantage of all your RAM. This is a big deal, not just for the game itself to handle the higher resolution textures, but for the modders. We'll talk about this more in the modding section, but if you've ever dived into the modding scene for Dawn of War, you know that once your rig hits that RAM limit, the game just nopes out and crashes, which is something all the big mods have had to deal with and skirt around. This is finally gonna be a thing of the past. If you played the Skyrim 64-bit and you got really deep into the modding for that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we'll talk about mods later. Proper resolutions. Now, many of you might say, Shaq, you can totally play Dawn of War already at a modern res. We've seen you do it. You've been spotlighting mods and you've done all of the campaigns here on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you can do that, right? You can, sorta, but not really. So the base game with its main campaign can't be played without some kind of mod on modern rigs. It just looks horrible, having been made for 4x3, the boat anchor of monitors that we had back in the day, the old CRTs. Textures are stretched, cameras zoomed way too far in, and without a zoom mod in the latest expansion Soulstorm, you just can't really enjoy it. And this is for the main campaign of the base game. Arguably my favorite campaign, following the Blood Ravens and the Fall of Tartarus. Though to be fair, Winter Assault is my favorite because it adds the best faction. Soulstorm came out much later. This is the last expansion. It was standalone and it could be run at higher resolutions. It still was way too far zoomed in, but that one has mods to fix most of its issues so that you can at least enjoy it. And that's what most of the content you have seen on this channel has been. But go back and look at the Dawn of War 1 playthrough we did 9 years ago on this channel, and you'll see how rough it is to play that original campaign. And thankfully, that's gonna be a thing of the past. You're gonna be able to play all of the campaigns at a proper resolution. So, the Definitive Edition is getting proper resolution support up to 4K and has the ability to render the game more zoomed out, which is what we have seen from all the footage. I mean, thank God. It has always been odd knowing that the Basilisk artillery for the Imperial Guard can actually fire farther than your POV could see. You'd have to scroll over 2 screens before you could see where the round would land. Hands down, the most needed mod to play the original Soulstorm was the zoom out mod. You just had to have it. The biggest, oh crap, that is awesome moment came from the idea that the mods that we enjoy right now for Soulstorm should be working out of the box with this release. At least that's the rumor. If you've been around the channel long enough, you know the mods that I'm thinking of. We've been covering the community for over a decade now, from old school Ultimate Apocalypse to Crucible and Unification. Now with 64-bit support and knowing they are already working with the mod authors, so I've been told to have a smooth transition. I mean, come on, let's go, that is cool. I really hope in another decade I'm still playing Dawn of War and its latest mod incarnations. We've played as the Krieg and built no man's land with barbed wire and tank traps. We played as the Imperial Fist with their big shield-toting boys, to fighting on the world of Armageddon as the Steel Legion with mods, and I mean as proper full fleshed out factions with unique mechanics, all because of mods. They even added the NIDS in one of the mods that has been around for ages, and that one desperately needs an update. For those who haven't played Dawn of War, ever, but jumped into Warhammer as the popularity has skyrocketed over the last 10 years due to neat models, sweet new games, and honestly, the real reason more recently is just lore YouTubers cranking content like nobody's business. Think about this. When was the last time an RTS dropped with more than 3 actually unique factions? And no, I don't mean 3 factions and then 3 factions with minor changes and like maybe 1 new unit. Sorry, Sins2, I'm calling you out on your 6 faction BS. It's 3, you know it, I know it, we all know it, we love it, but we all know it. You're 3 factions and some flavor. Dawn of War has 9 fully fleshed out factions, each with unique abilities and mechanics, from orc hordes to the endless waves of guardsmen backed by artillery. The best faction, hands down. You've got the Space Marines, Sisters of Battle with their crazy saints that they can summon, the Dark Eldar, the Necrons, and the Dark Eldar. Funny thing is that before they changed all the names to be more copyright coherent for Games Workshop, this game came out before that, so you're gonna have the old names. You know, they're gonna say Imperial Guard a lot and Sisters of Battle instead of, you know, Adeptus Sororitas and all that. Anyways, even the tower added. There's no Tyranids, sadly. Have to wait for the mods to add that totally not xenomorph bugs back into the game. So Dawn of War had its initial release with a handful of factions and a really fun linear storyline to tell. They would later do Winter Assault, which added the best faction, the Imperial Guard, to the game, and it had its own story. Dark Crusade would come out with its first non-linear campaign, with the Tau and the Necrons added, and finally, where all the mods are focused on these days, Soulstorm, which was a standalone game that added a sandbox mode for all 9 factions that you could play. Basically a conquest mode, capturing areas on a map, and then the strongholds were these pseudo-scripted story areas where they even had cutscenes and stuff. It was actually pretty cool. All 4 of these campaigns are planned to be in the release for the Definitive Edition. That's awesome. I have so many questions for the devs I want answers to, like, will we see Steam Workshop support? And what are the plans for future content and support? Will we see future updates? Will mods that affect Soulstorm's sandbox campaign still work in the new version like Crucible does? How many devs are still around from the original project? That was 20 years ago after all. The art's looking good. The high-res textures are still feeling like the same game, but just kind of brought up a bit, so that new players coming in can still get a sense of what we enjoyed back in 2004. But let me know, guys, what are you thinking about the project? What are your first reactions to it? Hey guys, Future Shack here. So literally while working on this video, the Dawn of War devs dropped a video with devs talking to the camera and even tossing out a thanks to the mod authors, which is very cool of you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing this drop, and you guys got to do more videos, and we want to see more content. And they were even mentioning how many of the devs they were showing on screen were like junior game devs back when Dawn of War came out. Now they've been there for 20 years. That is awesome. Anyways, thank you all so much for joining me in the video. Let me know what you're excited for with the new Dawn of War release. Do you think this is going to be the new Dawn of War, like, generation point where we all start playing this with all the mods and it's going to be just a good time? It's one of those few RTSs that's stuck around like Empire War has because the modding communities continue to support it. And I'm hoping this means, hey, we're gonna continue to see more modded teams come back to it so they can mod it even more and add more cool stuff. All right, thanks for watching. You guys know what to do if you want some more gaming goodness. I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.